So I just sent a cold email to the restaurant saying, "Would you like to sell the restaurant? I'm interested in buying the restaurant." I had very limited resources. I didn't have the resources to back that email up. I will say that. And then somebody responded to say, "I'm the owner. Please don't email the restaurant." Let's take this offline. So he called me and he said, "I know who you are, yeah." Because I was in Clapham, don't know if you heard, for 4 years as a sort of competitor restaurant.
Yeah.
So he said, let's meet for a beer. And so I met that chap who was the landlord of the building,
right,
and the person that owned the Polygon Bar and Grill.
So in the business and the building?
Yes.
Right.
And we managed to do a deal over a few beers, and we shook hands. And 20 years later, Angus is still my business partner.
So wait, he owned it before and then you came in to him. That's insane. That's a mad story. That just one cold email. And he didn't want you to email the restaurant because I imagine they didn't know what was going on.
Correct.
And now that's insane. That's a mega story. So what did you want to do? So you obviously rebranded it. You changed a lot of things quite quickly then.
Yes.
And was that part of your proposition? Because how do you convince someone for you to come in? I mean, I imagine your history and what he'd seen you do with time and other things must have been quite promising for him.
I was attractive for him. I think there was also a incredibly fortuitous timing wise. He wanted to get out of Polygon Bar and Grill at that point with another agenda. I needed another opportunity. I had a proven track record of filling a dining room in Clapham.
Yeah.
That was probably quite appealing as a landlord.
Yeah.
And we did a deal, and that is honestly, that is the long and short of it. And we've just gone on a 20-year journey together.
Insane.
And he's sort of very much, he's absolutely brilliant at what he does for the business, and he's absolutely brilliant at leaving me alone to get on with what I'm really good at in the business. Yeah. And he doesn't step on my feet and tangle me up and second guess me and, get involved in the stuff that I'm good at. That's quite rare to find in Jefferson's partner. And equally, I'm incredibly respectful and grateful for the input that we get from him as a business partner. So it's just been a brilliant partnership.
Yeah.
And
starting a restaurant where you've owned the building as well at that time, effectively in your partnership, like being the landlord and the business owner, not just an operator. That's also very rare. I mean, right? Especially in those times, there was a lot of landlords, and there's plenty of stories of amazing restaurants who've closed because of landlord disputes. So having that leverage as well must have been great confidence for you guys, for both of you.
Well, it was bloody good when COVID came along.
I was going to ask you about that. It means that there's some adjustments that can be done. What was the idea and kind of concepting then behind Trinity initially? And is that very much what it still is today?
The answer to that is, the short answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the strategy there was, I've just lost my shirt pretty dramatically. And that hurt. And I ain't going back there again. This is not going to happen again.
Right.
So we need to do something that is, be absolutely sure I am doing this to fill a dining room. I had no agenda or strategy other than to fill a dining room. There was none of this kind of, I want to cook my food, I want the food to be like this, or any of that. I was absolutely only about, this has to work. Now, there were a few restaurants in London at the time that were absolutely killing it, in my opinion, doing beautiful things, and that was the Nigel's beautiful chain of restaurants in Chez Bruce, in the Ledbury. Sorry, Chez Bruce, mainly Chez Bruce, Trompette, Glass House and Kew, Medlar. Those are the restaurants I looked at and thought, those are proper restaurants. Those are proper neighborhood restaurants. They're proper local restaurants where people will support, be loyal to. And I come from a road of food that is very similar to those restaurants. So this is not inconceivable that if we build a beautiful dining room that is about the guest, and I cook food that is of a similar sort of ilk to those restaurants, it's not inconceivable that this might work. So, although we are in Clapham, and 20 years ago, Clapham was not what it is today. You couldn't get a taxi to take you to Clapham, let alone open a restaurant and sell truffles and sea bass and caviar. So there was another proposition there, but that's essentially what I used as the sort of guideline, if you like, to build Trinity from the beginning.
And every decision you're making is focused on going back to that.
Yes, sort of. But I also wanted it to be an individual in a lot of ways. And we also didn't have tons and tons of money. This wasn't done off of a huge budget. It was done off of quite a modest budget. And we had to do the restaurant all the way back to the wiring and plaster and everything else. So it was a big undertaking, and it took about 4 or 5 months to do. And yeah, that's it. That's how we did it.
Opening it up for the first time, that first sort of week, year, day, I don't know how much you can remember, but the second opening of your career at that point, you've obviously had a very successful one first time around. Was there any kind of hesitations, any kind of nervousness around, it must be hard being successful so quickly with time, you know what I mean? It must be difficult in your mind going into Trinity the way I would think about it, that, God, I hope it's as good as that, and that level of pressure, or was that not really existed for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I knew that trajectory of time that was on, there was no way I could rejoin that train.
Right.
That had left the station. Right. I'd had my arse smacked. I'd been put in my place, and this was about starting from zero again and building this up again. Right. So my trust from the industry, trust in me from my guests, trust in me from media, which is important.
Yeah.
All that had to be redone. We're starting from a clean slate. So let's have a little bit of humility here, and let's just get your head down, shut your mouth, and cook. Right. So that was kind of where it was. Not that I was mouthy or anything like that.
No, okay, so.
And coming off the back of a restaurant that had collapsed, opening that first day, cooking like that was very scary, actually.
Brilliant.
But the good news is we booked people in with timies. We only filled the restaurant a third full.
Yeah.
And we had the right amount of staff, and we limited the menu. So we had a really successful night. Everyone got really jolly. It was a lot of fun. We had a couple of glasses afterwards, and we celebrated opening this great thing that we would hope would be here for as long as it could be. And it felt like a celebration and opening, as it should, rather than feeling like the last day on earth like the other one did. So this was amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I felt incredibly proud to be back at the helm of something so magnificent that Trinity was at the time. And then I remember the menu when I opened. I sort of had this. I took the Trinity name, and so we did starters and main courses and puddings, or first, second, and third courses. And it was all written just in 3 words as Trinity, so it might say sort of grouse, elderberries, and apple, or might say apples and caramel and star anise or something like that. So just three words. It was really nice, actually. I love that concept. There was sort of an a la carte and a tasting menu at the time. Don't know why we ever veered off from it. I might bring it back. There you go.